Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Uh, I just In the meantime, I'll ask you all a few questions just to get a sense of who's in the audience, who's not, right? How many of y'all are professional iOS developers? Okay. How many of y'all are students? Engineering students? Okay. So how many of the students over here, what is your interest? Are you all looking to become an iOS developer, designer, or have you just come here to explore? To explore. Okay, fine. Are all the students from SRM University next door? Okay, so in the meantime, they figure this out. I'll start with my presentation a little bit because the first starting of every presentation is always about me. Right? So about myself, I started out I studied in VIT. It's cooler than SRM University, not the Chennai one, the Vellore one. And I went there in 2014. I graduated out in 2018. And in 2014, there was no such thing as iOS developer role in India as such. Everyone wanted to just learn Android at that point. Nobody wanted to really learn iOS app dev because it was not very promising. And that's when my parents told me, Mustafa, everyone's going to go into the engineering college. Everyone's going to come out of engineering college. How are you going to stand out? So I told them I'll make iOS apps. I just faked it at that point. I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. And then luckily what happened is I started learning in college and I made VIP has this tech fest, Gravitas. Then it has this cultural fest, Rivera. So all these tech fests and everything, I started making iOS apps over there. And then one thing led to the other. I realized I really love making apps. And students in our college hate that 75% attendance cutoff. So I made an app called VIT Academics, which tells you how many classes you have to attend or miss before you get debarred from your examination. So all those things really clicked. So I started loving making products right from college. I'll just test this. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I really started loving making apps from college, and I decided I really want to continue doing this. And I think everyone back in college, at least, I thought if I want to make an app and if I want to monetize it, I want to make it a business, I would need a team, right? I need a founder, co-founder, technical lead, backend developer, Android engineer, iOS engineer. And then what happened is I learned this magical term called being an indie developer. How many of you all know what an indie developer is? Okay, very few people. So now let me tell you all this thing I learned as an indie developer, and I learned this in 2018 in the US. So a lot of my friends over there, they were one-person companies, right? They had an idea, they made their idea, put it on the App Store, and immediately made money out of it. They did not need an entire tech team or anything. So just one person with a simple app on the App Store can start making a business. And when I figured that out is when I started making apps, right? And I made one app which made $50 in 2 years, and then I made another app which made $10,000 in the first month. So I'm going to talk about what changed and what my learnings were and how you can do the same thing. So a little bit about me. I make this app called Tasks, very smart name, right? Nobody on the App Store thought of taking the name Tasks for a task manager. How many people had a to-do list app idea? How many to-do list app ideas, how many to-do list apps exist on the App Store? Approximately, even like exaggerated 10,000, 100,000 to-do list apps. So how did this to-do list app was able to still survive in that existing market is something that I'll carry on. And after making a to-do list app on the App Store, I did the next best thing. In 2024, I launched another to-do list app, right? And what the difference in this was I had gotten married this time, and my wife would send me a lot of tasks and she'd keep nagging me. So I made another app called Karo, which would basically allow you to send tasks to anyone, and instead of them nagging you, the app kind of nags you. But nonetheless, the first main thing is find a problem, okay? And don't find a problem that is applicable for the whole wide world. Everyone needs my app in the world, let me make this app, someone will download it. It's very hard to market it. Find a small niche. If you find, say, if you make a timetable app for students, it's better than making a first daily planner for every human being in the world, right? And if you want to make a particular, to give you an example, I have a friend who has a skiing app, okay? And I always thought it's so stupid having a skiing app. How many people in the world ski, right? His app currently does $2 million a year only in 2 months of the year because that is skiing season, right? So if you find a small niche, it's much easier to target them and send your app to them, right? If you make a very broad app, so my first app which failed was an education app for students, right? For kids. I made that app and I was targeting all children. First of all, that's the toughest thing, never make an app for children because they are not your audience, parents are. Convincing parents to download an app for their kid is a uphill battle. So find an app that is, find a problem and find a problem for that small niche and try to solve it for that. So now for example for tasks, right? What was my niche? What were the people? So everyone uses task managers, right? I was like, do you need something like to do, in progress and doing? Like normally you think of task managers as just to do and done, checkbox, right? So I just introduced a Kanban. How many people know what a Kanban layout is? You all are all technical people. So the rest of the world don't know what Kanban is. But when a lot of people, I just introduced a simple column which is to do, doing, done. They really like that, to do, doing, done. That's very nice. So this is something I relate with. So I found a small group of users who really liked it. And for Karo, it is, Karo, actually what happens is if I send a task to you and you're not on Karo, it comes to you on WhatsApp. So that's the small unique thing that I found, which is in the app. So if you're making any generic app in the world, find one thing that you can add to that generic app and improve the value, right? It's not like another Swiggy cannot exist. It's not like, like for example, do you all know this new startup called Swish?
Yeah.
Swiggy, but in 10 minutes, right? So on any big problem, any big app in the world, right? If you just add a few small improvements to it, you can kind of, that's called a USP, a unique selling point. So if you have that, it becomes much easier. If someone, no one is going to download a Todoist, download me over Todoist. Todoist is very popular. But if I had 1-2 things which Todoist didn't have, then they would come to the app for that. So that is solve it with a USP. So now for my tasks app, the USP was to do, doing, done. That's pretty much it. So as soon as I put this is how I launched the app on Twitter. And when I launched this app, immediately people started getting clicked. They were like, wow, I like this concept. Because renovating my house is not renovate the house, house is renovated, right? There's a lot of steps that in between happen, which is doing. Same thing for Karo, the USP was, you send the task to someone, if they're not on the app, they get it on WhatsApp, and then they can complete it from WhatsApp and you get notified. As soon as I did these steps, and if I told someone, hey, download my task manager because the person you're sending a task to doesn't need the app, then they were like, oh, nice, maybe I can try another task app out. But without that thing, if I just tell them there's another task app for creating your tasks, they wouldn't install that. The third thing, build it with a following. Why do I say build it with a following? When I started making apps out, I did not have 100,000 people out there listening to what I'm making. And if after I'm publishing it on the App Store, I think there are at least 1,000 apps coming out every week. Much more than that, if I remember the number. So when you add to that list, who's going to promote it? There's not going to be anyone waiting for your app, right? Nobody's waiting to see, hey, what app has Mustafa put out today? But if you have a following, right, at least your following will take that app, install it, share it with their people. You know how reposts on LinkedIn works or retweet on Twitter works, right? So if you don't have people sharing, it won't work. So what I did is, when I first created my app tasks, right, a stupid onboarding video. I call it stupid now, looking back then I thought it was very smart. And as soon as I posted that, I had 52 people like it, 7 people reposted, and then I got 17,000 impressions. This was the maximum amount of reach I had gotten on Twitter back then, right? And as soon as I did this, so something I've been working on coming out soon, it was a very dumb onboarding video. I'm not going to show it to you all. So you have to keep writing about what you're building, because people actually are very supportive when you start putting out, hey, I'm making this step by step, and they feel involved in your journey as a part of it. Next thing is get it to test flight early. These things, what I'm saying, apply as an iOS developer, Android developer, just get it out to testers. Why get it out to testers? There's a thing. So remember, whenever you have an app you're making, right, you are a user, you're not the user. Not everyone is going to be like you, right? You're making it to solve your problem, but you also want to solve it for everyone else. So you might be very no, this has to be exactly like this, only then people will use it. You'll turn out, you'll learn a lot of things wrong. So get it to test flight early so you can fail early. What happens is if you don't get it out to test flight and you Seedha launch it, what's going to happen? All those problems, that issues people have, the toughest thing is when you sell something to someone, if someone downloads your app and they don't like it, they're never going to come back, right? They're never going to come back. But if you get it to test flight and you figure out those reasons that, oh, it didn't work for them, and you can correct it, that's very important. And also when you give it to people to test, they become part of your journey. This is something that happened to me. This is not even the icon I shipped with. This was just some random blue background checkmark thing. I didn't even ship with that. But there were 3 people who, so for example, on Twitter, I had not even launched back then. There's this girl, Michaela, there's a guy, Shihab, right? And these people were quite famous in Twitter at that time. And they started writing really positive things about my app. Love the UI. It was bad UI, now that I look at it. And the animation is something that really nice. They loved it, overall impressed. Someone on Twitter asked, hey, what's a very good task app? And Michaela replied to that, I'm currently testing Tasks by Mustafa and I think you should also check it out. So still in beta, but I'm loving it. And as soon as I started getting this feedback from them, I started learning what works well for the product and everything. It really brought in the whole experience. And then I realized I learned, corrected a lot of things at that point. And these people became my cheerleaders. So when I launched, they would immediately convince 10, 20 people to use the app. 5th, this is the point where every developer kills themselves, right? We work on perfecting our onboarding. We work on perfecting our designs. Don't do that. I started out, this was the first screen of tasks. A very ugly screen, but it was functional. You could create a task and you could check off a task. This is very important. You will spend all the time in the world trying to make this screen so pretty that by the time the screen is made pretty, you're already tired of the project. You've moved on to the next app idea. You've moved on to this. So focus on completing your functionality first. Otherwise, you're not going to get to the App Store stage. Forget making the first $10,000. So next thing is pricing. We Indians are very bad at pricing things because we don't pay for software ourselves, right? How many people pay for subscriptions outside Hotstar, Netflix, Amazon Prime? Very few. How many of you all pay for your note-taking apps? For your task managers? Notion has a subscription. How many people are subscribed to Notion? Exactly. So we are very bad at pricing things. This is something that will change your life trajectory, right? Now for pricing, this is how you do pricing. You want to make $10,000, okay? I didn't put in the first thing, charge $1 to 10,000 people. Okay, you can either charge $1 to 10,000 people, you make $10,000, correct? Or you charge $10 to 1,000 people, looks easier than finding 10,000 people willing to pay. Or you charge $20 to 500 people, or you charge $40 for 250 people. Let's put it on a broader scale. Let's say $10,000, $100,000 you want to make, okay? Finding 100,000 customers who will pay $1 each is hard, okay? Finding 10,000 people to get them to pay $10, slightly easy. In a billion people, I did this math in college. I was like, very easy. There are 7 billion people. How can I not get 10,000 people and make money? Right? There was this time in my life, I was like, India has 1 crore people. If every person just gives me 10 rupees, that's the best business model, right? And if I can get 100 rupees from at least 50 lakh people, wow, this is very nice. What business can I do for that? So what you want to do is you want to reduce the number of people and increase the gain per person, okay? Now you're thinking, don't charge Indians if you want to make money, step 1, from software I'm telling you, right? I think Zoho charges a lot of the US customers. Abroad is a more big chunk of the revenue coming in, local probably would be small. But the goal is less people, higher value. Now if you're thinking $40 is very expensive, I was in the same boat as you. When I launched Tasks, there was a very good mentor at Apple, okay? I was going to charge it $499 rupees. $499, 4.99 when I say 499, right? It was going to be charged at $4.99 straight upfront purchase. How many of you all have paid for an app upfront? Upfront means it's Like games, small games happen. One person has paid, two, okay, so paid upfront, okay? Then he told me, hey, don't do that to yourself. Do one thing, keep the app free to download and then charge them $4.99 inside the app. I was like, fine, that's a good idea. How many people have downloaded an app, which is free, and then later seen a paywall in the app? Much more people, right? So for the same reason, I listened to that advice and I did it. Now he said, you have $4.99, how about you make it a subscription? I was like, fine, if you're saying so. These are digestible steps that they gave me. So I said, okay, let me do that. And then I made it, I was like, what can I do for a yearly subscription, right? He's like, Americans, for them, $9.99 a year is nothing. It's 1 cup of coffee for a whole year, right? So I was like, fine, let's make it $9.99 a year. And then he said, since you have $9.99 a year, you put a lifetime purchase as well. So lifetime purchase is usually 2.5 times the value. All of a sudden, I was charging $24.99 for lifetime purchase. So I did these things. I went from paid upfront $4.99 to $24.99 in the app in very small gradual steps. And because of that, and because I launched with that pricing, is what I made $10,000 in the first month. Had I launched $4.99 paid upfront, would I have made any money? Probably not. Nobody knows Mustafa. Nobody is going to download Mustafa's brand new app and pay money for it first and then see the quality. Nobody was going to do that. Made it free. Then you come in, $9.99. Luckily, I was not monetizing Indians at that time. I was more looking at the US market, European market. And then $9.99. These people didn't care. Nobody bought $9.99. Everyone was just buying $24.99 like it was nothing for them, right? So these people were just purchasing the app and trying it out. And that's how I made, first day I made $800. Second day I made $2,200. Third day I made $2,300. And then the rest of the month slightly trickled down. So I'll go into those factors. 7th point, launch. Very critical. Because the thing about a launch, right? If you have a good launch, right, you're set for the rest of your momentum will go higher. If you have a bad launch, you'll feel like, was it all worth it? Should I just kill it? Maybe the app was a good idea, but because of a bad launch, you didn't see that. So now, for example, there are a few things, standard checklist, App Store editorial form here, there's an app, now it's on App Store Connect. You can just fill that form so that App Store editorial team can see it. I did this, and then later in the month, they actually ended up featuring us. Prepare a press kit. How many people know what a press kit is? 1 person, 2, 3, Indie Hub people know. 4. So what a press kit is about your app. A 1-2 pager thing about your app and why someone in the press or media would feature your app. It's very surprising. We are small developers, right? Why will news want to write about us? But actually these media companies and news, 9to5 Mac Stories, Mac Rumors, they love writing about apps from indie developers. They absolutely love. So if you write a press kit, make their job easier, and you send them an email, they will actually write about you. And that's exactly how it happened. Never before had 9to5 Mac featured me. And because I wrote up a press kit, sent it to them 2 weeks in advance, I told them I'm launching on 1st of June. I would have loved to get your thing, and I gave them a free coupon code for using the app and all of those things. They wrote an article on 9to5 Mac, and that's the reason why I made that $2,200 a day, $2,300 a day. Just because of that one article, which was completely free, but I just had to write a good press kit and send a cold email. As simple as that. Then prepare launch material on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Reddit, right? Reddit was extremely good for me because the day I posted on Reddit, I made another $5,000 in revenue. Reddit, you have good days, bad days. So if you post on Reddit, you might lose $5,000 also. Depends on how they are feeling at that day, but you can also make $5,000. And then LinkedIn and Twitter. So Twitter, I posted the launch tweet. Someone really liked it, and they tagged someone called Vitici in the community, and they said, hey, Vitici was a tech editor at Mac Stories. And he said, check this app out. And then he had mentioned it in his newsletter. So just small stuff like this. And then finally, Product Hunt, right? I think most of you all know what Product Hunt is. So Product Hunt is a place where you can list out your product, people upvote it, and then it helps in visibility as such. And the last thing, very, very, very important thing, select a good time. You don't want to launch your app when Donald Trump is doing something stupid on the internet. You're going to get no media. Nobody's going to see your app. It's going to be blown into the abyss. You don't want to do it when OpenAI is launching a Ghibli movement, right? So just be careful of this. A good time is very, very important, right? And if you have a silent launch and no one sees your failure, launch again. This is a very important thing, right? If say, for example, Ghibli artwork came out just about the time when you launched your app and wrote the thing, delete all that content and re-upload it again when the internet calms down a bit. So make sure you select a very good time. This is a very important thing. So finally, all of this I've told you, you're like, okay, I've got it all done. It's going to be very nice. I'm going to make my 10,000. But it's unfortunately not that easy. Getting your first 10,000 downloads, as simple as you think it might be, is not that easy. Getting your first 100 people to pay for your app, as simple as it is not that easy, right? So how can you enhance your chances for success over here? One, be a sane coder, right? I know a lot of people are into vibe coding now. So people just put out an app, they write code, but if you don't understand your code, you don't understand its shortcomings, you don't understand its problems, when bugs come, if you're not able to fix them, right? It's not gonna help you. Because when people, again, once you get a person onto the app, you are never going to get them back again. The likelihood of that is very low, right? Two, work at a product company. This is something I recommend a lot of people. Before I launched my second app, right? Tasks, which succeeded. I was working at a product company and I learned so much about making a good product, right? So it's always good to work at a company and you see what it takes to make a good product, what it took for them to succeed and all of those things. Third thing is be present online. If you're not going to be present online, your app is available where? Online. If you're going to be offline, it makes no sense. It's like you're selling shirts locally in the market of Chennai, but you want to sit at home. It's not going to go and sell it by itself. You have to be present over there, holding your shirt, asking people to buy it. New and latest API. This is a very good hack. There was an app called Widgetsmith. How many of you all know what Widgetsmith is? One person only. So how many people know iOS had this huge widgets adoption? Everyone on their iPhone had a widget, lock screen widget. Yes? So that was a new API Apple had launched, right? Widgets API. And one app, Widgetsmith, what they did is, they took that latest API and they allowed people to create all kinds of fun custom widgets. And as soon as they launched, in that first month of launching, they had 10 million downloads. Why? Because it was a new API that was announced, so all the people are more likely to update to their new iPhones. They learn, oh, there is this new thing for widgets. Apple features things that uses the new APIs, and then all of a sudden they ride an entire trend. So say for example now, if Apple in iOS 19 is going to launch something, I don't know what could they launch. But if they launch something, some new API for you to do, right? If they launch say new glasses or something, right? And if they have an API for that, if you build for that, your chances you don't need a following because Apple is going to promote it. People are going to come looking for such apps, right? People are going to come looking for such widgets. Some people are going to come looking for that. So you want to make use of the new and latest APIs. And finally, fifth point, build something relatable. It's very hard if you don't believe in your own product and you don't believe in your own solution. Right? And it is very easy to get demotivated. Extremely easy to get demotivated. I didn't want to build a task manager in the first place. Why did I end up building it? Right? And then you'll scrap it out very easily. But if I really wanted it, I enjoyed it, and if I found 10 people who really enjoyed it, it was good enough for me. And then little perseverance onto it, and then it eventually became a really good and healthy company for me. And that's pretty much everything I had to share with you all. So thank you so much. So yeah, for anyone who has any questions, yeah, please ask me any questions. I have a lot more to speak on how to make your first app, how to make more money and revenue from it on the App Store. But these are the basic most things that if you check them off, right, you can get a girl dancing on TikTok and you can make 10,000 in the first month as well. So it goes always. But yeah, any questions please? I'm just a very good speaker.
Anyone? Just a minute. from how would you organize yourself when it comes to coding and stuff? How you organize, like in terms of fixing bugs, and how do you prioritize the bugs? And what is your like day-to-day like plan when it comes to going from checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2?
Very good question. So when I first started out, I was very what do you call it? Self-absorbed, right? I was like, "Jo main kahunga, what I want will be in the app, nothing else." Then I started realizing it's all going to be about users. When I started making it all about users, so then I would get in emails from people. They ask me for a bug fix, I fix it out immediately. And if you ask for my day-to-day, how I plan my apps, how I do those things, right? You're very, like an indie dev is a very small person company which can do crazy things at scale. And how I plan myself is around user feedback mainly. If someone tells me, hey, we really want to do this, then I realize, okay, I've already gotten 8 other emails which have asked the same thing. So might as well prioritize this week as opposed to what I was planning on doing, right? And if bugs, please fix them as soon as possible. Don't add that to the roadmap, acha 3 mahine baad, like you'll do it after 3 months or something. So that's something. And as far as how my day-to-day goes, there are some days I don't work at all. There are some days I really work a lot. So there are moments where you have things, and not a lot of people require a lot of things. So just make sure that you've covered the initial base set. And after I've been doing tasks for 5 years now, so tasks is no longer just me. Now I have a small company. We have a few employees across India. We're just building products ourselves. So now everyone takes care of multiple parts of it. But I still code on the iOS app till date. So I'd say played by the users, instinct plays a lot of its part, and it's not like a 9 to 5 job where every day you come in, you have to do some tasks and then check out at 5 o'clock or something like that. You can work whenever you want on whatever things. Just main thing, every week you keep addressing something or the other.
So we have one more question.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mahesh from Zoho.
Hi.
Very good talk, by the way.
Thank you so much.
How did you see, did you spend any on ads?
I'm sorry?
Did you spend any money on ads?
So I've spent zero from the day I've started till today on ads or anything. So it's completely organic. The reason being is I never first thought that this would succeed in the first place. So it was just completely organic, word of mouth. It kept growing. And as I started adopting more Apple technologies, Apple also got very excited and they would keep promoting me. So I never saw myself spending ads. I think it's more about money leaving is very hard when I had a lot of other things to juggle and I didn't spend enough time on it. And I realized press, media, I got featured on TechCrunch, I got featured on 9to5Mac like 6, 7, 8 times. All of this happened for free because as long as you're a small indie developer, it really helps, you know, and you can really abuse that power. So I didn't have the need to spend ads. But now that I look at it, if you think about it, my space, Task Manager, is very brutally competitive. So ads were very expensive and I looked at as well. So if I had a small niche which was not being, users were not being targeted as much, I probably would have thought about it. But there are big giants who really pour a lot in ads, like AnyDo, Todoist. These spend a lot more on such spaces, so it was too expensive for me to do it at that point.
Do you think would it have increased your mileage?
It would have increased downloads probably. I don't know if I would have given a positive ROI from the ad spend. Never tried it, so I would never know, but it was very expensive to try in the first place. Like Apple search ads as well, if I thought about doing that, very hard to target that specific niche because it's a very highly searched keyword on the App Store, task managers and all of that. What good news was, my app was called Tasks. Nobody thought of that. Genius.
We have one more question.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Abdul Rahman. I'm a Flutter consultant. With regards to Product Hunt, did it really help you in any way? And if someone is building for India, does Product Hunt help? And I also wanted to ask another question, which is, have you tried influencer affiliated marketing? But I think you kind of answered that in the previous question.
Yeah. So, hi. And so I'll start with the first one was Product Hunt. How did it help? When I launched on Product Hunt, it did help because people who are searching for products on Product Hunt end up being very loyal users. Nobody in their sane mind gets up every day on Product Hunt, uploads, downloads an app just for fun. They really enjoy the thrill of it, right? They like discovering new products. And when people do, they kind of end up using and giving you a lot of feedback. So I got quite a bit. I think we were product hunt number 3 for the day or something. I don't remember, 3 or 5. We basically had a good number, 3 I think, right? So that really helped. And the second thing is, if you're building from India, does Product Hunt help? Yes. I know a lot of Indian companies from friends who've used Product Hunt to soft launch Typed. There's a video SDK platform, they use Product Hunt quite a bit. So it does help. I wouldn't rely just on it for success. That would be incorrect to state. And the third point, have you tried UGC and all this content? I didn't do it for tasks, but I did it for Karo. Because the goal was to target a different set of audience. And what happened is, so this time I've spent on learning. So I didn't see it as an ads thing. It was more to figure out what kind of content works. So I think I spent roughly around $5,000 on the UGC space. What we realized is very bad quality videos worked on TikTok. So we went viral in South Africa. And it was interesting. You can actually, it's a very promising space, but you have to spend in order to figure out what is the right kind of video. So it's a very expensive process, I would say. Unless you have exact competitors in the same space who do some videos, you copy them and you replicate them in the same way. But I have done that for Karo, and it's been an interesting learning experience. So hopefully in the next few months, we'll figure out what clicks exactly, what that South African content creator did for us, and replicate it across different geographies.
Can I follow?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the process that you use to approach influencers, and how does that work?
So there was this platform called Posted. I think, I'm not sure if it's working anymore. What they did is you put up a contest. So if we put up a $3,000 contest, any content creators could apply and create content on it. And what happened is, first place gets $1,000, second place gets $500, up to 10th place, everyone gets some amount of that $3,000 allocation, right? And so every influencer was kind of excited, we'll make content, maybe I'll be first, and the ranking is based on engagement that they get on their thing, organic engagement, not inorganic. So if they run ads or anything, they would not qualify for that particular thing. So that was how we got about influencers, but otherwise reaching out to influencers is very hard when you're small and starting out. You don't get a lot of reply back.
So any other questions? No one? Yeah, okay, we have a question.
Hi, Mustafa.
Hi.
The presentation was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. The question is regarding the retaining the customers. So since Task app belongs to B2C, so what are the strategies you took to retain the, because you have a subscription model, so some users might have cancelled the subscription and moved to the other app. So what are the strategies you took to retain those customers and come back to your app?
No, absolutely. So what I did is, initial stage, the best way to retain customers is just be very close looped with the customer. So when someone would cancel out on a subscription or anything, I would send them an email, hey, what didn't work for you? I would really love to learn more. You're small, you can do, so I've heard this beautiful saying, it's saying when you're small, do things that don't scale. When you scale, you will have figured out how to normalize that process, but while you're still young and small, do things that don't scale. What that means is, someone would cancel out, I would send them, hey, what didn't work for you? And when they reply back, these are like on cancellation, the email is scripted, right? But after that, it's very tailored to what they respond. I would ask them what didn't work for you. And what happens is, in most of the cases, when people learn that the person behind the app is not a company, it's just one guy trying to really make a good product, and people are shocked when they get responses immediately to their email. So these small, meaningful human approaches, right? When the product became very human, it was not like a company, hey, your token number ticket has been registered, we will respond to you in 1 to 2 business days. If it's not sounding like that, you have an advantage to speak to the person and kind of win them over in that aspect. So that was a very good way. And the other thing is, I would put up a link in the app to a Telegram just to message me directly. So a lot of people were just surprised. Oh, they would click on that Telegram, open up the chat, put in a message, and then like 2 minutes later I'm responding, hey, what's up, what's the problem? And that kind of thing, right? Reducing, you can't scale that solution. You can't have a real human replying to like 100,000 users at any given time. But initially, when you're small, you can do these things that don't scale.
Thank you.
Anyone?
So thank you, Mustafa.
Thank you so much.
Sorry. So Mustafa is here. You can interact with him during the networking session.
you want one more, yeah, please. Alright, that was an amazing session. So we'll break for 10 minutes. The snacks and refreshments are right behind you. Please enjoy it. And yeah, the break is strictly for 10 minutes because we are on a tight schedule. Please be seated after 10 minutes. We'll meet you at 10:40. So 11:40, sorry. Yeah. 11:45. Thank you.
Okay. Nice. நீங்கள் எந்த டீம் ஜோ ஜாயின் பண்ணிக்கலாம் எந்த டீமில் இருக்காங்க ஸோ லேர்ன் இந்த கிளாஸஸ் டீச்சர்ஸ்
அப்படியே ட்ரைனிங் செஷன் மாதிரி
எப்போ ஜாயின் பண்ணிக்கிறீங்க
19
19
ஸோ கனெக்ட் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன்
கனெக்ட் ஒர்க் பண்ணிக்கலாம் யார் ப்ளே பண்ணுறீங்க
ப்ராடக்ட் கேட்குறீங்களா ஐஓஎஸ்
சிவசுப்ரமணியம் ஓகே
ஐஓஎஸ் வந்து சிவசுப்ரமணியம்
ஓகே ப்ராடக்ட் வந்து அந்த மேனேஜர்
ஜெகநாத் ஃபின்டெக் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு
பார்க்லேஸ் பேங்க்
பேங்க்
எப்படி போகுது ஜோவில் அது கூட நல்லா இருக்கு இப்போ என்ன ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் வந்துட்டுருக்கு
எங்களுக்கு வந்து ப்ராடக்ட் பேஸ் மாதிரி டீம் இல்லை எங்களுக்கு ப்ராஜெக்டாக இருக்குது தனியாக மொபைல் மட்டும் தனியாக டீம் வச்சாங்க ஃப்ளோன் இப்போ தான் லான்ச் பண்ணி
புதுசாக ஃப்ளோவில் மொபைலில் லான்ச் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க
பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் லான்ச் பண்ணிட்டாங்கன்னு தெரியல ஆனால்
ஃப்ளோ அந்த
ஆக்சுவலாக
இன்டெகிரேஷன்ஸ்லாம்
இன்டர்நேஷனல் யூஸ் பண்ணுற மாதிரி மோஸ்ட்லி அது இன்ட்ராக்டிவாக இருக்கிறது சும்மா பார்த்துக்கிற மாதிரி
நம்ம முன்னாடி அந்த சோஷியல் அப்படி தான் இருந்துச்சு சோஷியல் ஃபஸ்ட்டு இது பார்த்தாங்க நீங்கள் இன்னும் வெறும் ஃபேஸ்புக் அக்கௌண்ட் கனெக்ட் பண்ணுங்கள் வெப்சைட் அக்கௌண்ட் பண்ணுங்கள் அந்த என்ன வியூஸ் இருக்கோ அந்த ஏபிஐஸ் கனெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இங்கே வந்துடும் ஃபஸ்ட்டு வெர்ஷன் அதான் ரீட் ஒன்லி தான் இருக்கும் அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் நீங்கள் இன்ட்ராக்ட் பண்ணி ஃப்ளோ க்ரியேட் பண்ணுறது அந்த மாதிரி வேறு எந்த டீம்லாம் எப்படி இருக்குது ஃபினான்ஸ் டீம்லாம்
ரைட்டாக போகுது ஆனால் உங்கள் காலத்துக்கு அங்கே தான் இருந்தது
ஃபினான்ஸு அப்புறம்
கிளிக்கில் இருந்தது
ஃபினான்ஸ் இது கிரியேட்டர்லாம்
ஒரு விஷ்ணு தெரியும் கிரியேட்டர் விஷ்ணு தான் பார்த்துருந்தேன் அவர் இப்போ ஸ்டார்ட் அப்
தெரியுமா எப்படி தெரியும்
இன்ட்ராக்ட் பண்ணதில்லை ஆனால் ஆக்சுவலாக அவர் தான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு கனெக்ட் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தார்
அப்படியா
ஆக்சுவலாக அப்போ நான்
டீமில் இருந்தால் கிரியேட்டர் வந்தார்
அப்போ நான் டீம் ஒர்க் பண்ணல ஆக்சுவலாக வந்த அப்புறம் தான் நான் ஜாயின்
நீங்கள்
பண்ணேன்
இவரும் ஸோ தான் கிரியேட்டரில் ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருந்தார்
Guys, 5 more minutes please, and we would like you if you can come back to your places.
comfort zone.